Got to use that first. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Sir Ken. No, I know, they're doing it at the back. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody is seated. I'm Claire Gray. I'm Head of Disability Advocacy at Shaw Trust, and I have the honour of being your host this afternoon. To describe myself, I'm a white woman, I'm a wheelchair user, I'm dressed in a purple top with stars on, black trousers, I have very short blonde hair, I'm in my early 50s, and I use the pronouns she, her. Welcome to Shaw Trust Disability Power 100 Awards event. I think that deserves a round of applause. Today we're here to celebrate the achievements of the top 100 disabled people and organisations nominated by the public for their influence in the UK in 2022. We are very pleased that you can all be here today to hear the stories of everybody in the Disability Power 100, as well as those in our top 10 list. And we want you all to have a fantastic event and a true celebration. And to help, we have plenty of food and drink on hand. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers today and a packed agenda. But before we get started, I just have a couple of small housekeeping announcements. We're not expecting a fire alarm, but should an alarm go off, attendants will be on hand to take you to assembly points. Please keep your mobile phone on silent if you can. And the Twitter hashtag we're using today is Disability Power 100. So please use this, if possible, on any posts you make about the event. Live captioning is available on screens throughout the room, and BSL interpretation is available for the main presentation and for networking. If you have any problems at all seeing the captions, the BSL interpreters, or anything else, please let one of our attendants know. A QR code is available to scan for the agenda and captioning on a fully adjustable webpage for you to watch on your personal device if you prefer. And please be aware that we are posting today's event on a live stream to ensure that the most people possible can access the event. But we're only going to be focusing on showing the stage and the speakers. I now have the pleasure of handing over to Chris Luck, Group Chief Executive of Shaw Trust, who will say a few words to open the event. Please welcome Chris Luck to the stage.
Thank you very much, Claire. I'm normally the warm-up act for Claire, but I'm delighted to be introduced by her this time. Minister, Chairman, colleagues, absolutely delighted to welcome you all here today for the 2022 Shaw Trust Disability Power 100. I have had a note scribbled on my notes that says, please remind people to share using the hashtag Disability Power 100. so my duty is done. Please do use the hashtag. We're here to celebrate the most influential disabled people and disability-led organisations in Britain, as nominated by the general public and judged by an independent panel of disabled leaders and allies. It is truly wonderful to see so many of you on the list in the room today. Thank you for joining us for what will be a memorable and enjoyable afternoon. However, it would be wrong with a room full of today's and tomorrow's leaders to not acknowledge the extraordinary events occurring in the nation's political discourse. All I will say is that your leadership is required when the future is uncertain, the need is great, and resources are strained. Our response must continue to be collective, putting people first, supported by public effort, and dominated by something other than market rationalisation. Thank you. Today would not be possible without all those who nominated over 700 inspirational people for recognition, and to our panel of judges, themselves role models in so many ways. Thank you for your expertise and for taking on the difficult task of selecting this year's top 100 from such a talented field. Thank you also to our sponsors, Lloyds Banking Group and Indeed Recruitment, and we are delighted that you too have joined us today. And can I also take this opportunity just to thank all our colleagues and staff that have made today happen. And this is the second time, as you know, we've had to delay. So for making it happen twice, thank you. The Shaw Trust Disability Power 100 is an important way to recognise and celebrate the achievements of disabled people across a variety of sectors, including business, sports, politics, education, science and entertainment. Proof that disability is not a stop to success or a limit on what you can pursue when the barriers are removed. At Shaw Trust, we work closely with government, employers, local authorities and stakeholders to help close the disability employment gap, to ensure disabled people are better represented in the workplace and in society, and importantly, recognised for the richness they bring to us all. We deliver and support initiatives to eradicate the barriers holding people back from achieving life goals. And we're proud to be a disability-confident leader and a founder signatory to the Disability Employment Charter. But more is needed to be done to ensure that across every aspect of society there is more awareness, more investment and more education to reduce social exclusion and to build a more inclusive and accessible future for everybody. For our part, we at Shaw Trust are proud to have launched the Disability Power 100 Networks Bursary Scheme in partnership with Purple Space. Our sponsored Shaw Education Multi-Academy Trust works with special and mainstream schools to ensure there is support for disabled students through their education and for preparing them for the world of further education, training and work. We are genuinely and truly delighted to be joined by Claire Coutinho, Minister for Disabled People, who has joined us to underline her commitment to this agenda. Minister, we look forward to hearing from you today and to working closely with you and the department in the weeks, months and years ahead. I also note the announcement today of the additional support to employers to support employees with disability or health challenges. We are definitely paying attention. And I am very aware that with us today is a room of passionate, determined and supportive change agents who are deeply committed to change happening. Thank you for what you and your organisations do in creating a fairer world. Enough from me. Let's celebrate this incredible 2022 Disability Power 100. This list is about recognition and celebration, and we very much hope that you enjoy the afternoon and the opportunity to meet with like-minded individuals who themselves are driving forces for change. My congratulations again to all. It gives me great pleasure to hand over to our Minister.
Thank you so much. I actually think this is technically my first speech in the role, and I'm delighted to be with you at the Shaw Trust Disability Power 100 today to celebrate the most influential disabled people in the UK today. The nominations, as we've heard, span right across society, from arts to business, to education to community, to entertainment to media, to politics, to law and science and sport. This event is about your success, but it's also so much more than that, because your success is also paving the way for the next generation. Visibility matters, representation matters, and I speak from some experience, as I think I'm the 8th female ethnic minority person to be a minister in the entire history of the House of Commons, and I know what it meant to me to see others go before me. I know that feeling, the spark to the imagination, the fizz of new possibility that so many young people will have felt, thanks to the experiences of Rose Ayling-Ellis on Strictly, Ellie Simmons in the Paralympics, or Victoria Jenkins running a home fashion show, so many more people that I saw on the list. Thousands of ambitions will feel just that bit more possible, and we'll all be the richer for it. The Shaw Trust and the nominees here today are doing an extraordinary job of breaking stereotypes, and I pay huge tribute to Chris and Claire for their long-standing work in this area. But government must play its part too. My predecessor, Chloe Smith, now sits around the cabinet table and will champion the needs of disabled people as the Secretary of State for my department, the Department for Work and Pensions. And as the new Minister for Disabled People, I'm as committed as she was to making sure that the fifth of society of people who are disabled or have a health condition get the same opportunities as everyone else. This includes the world of work. Far too often, as our Green Paper showed, disabled people found barriers to having the rewarding work life that they wanted. And as the new Minister, I want to see how we can do more to help employers and employees to change this. In 2017, we set a goal to get 1 million more disabled people into work within 10 years. We met this 5 years early, which is not something you often get to say in government, but there is loads more to do. I'll give you a really practical example. Last week, I was delighted to announce the £122 million expansion to employment support for people using NHS England mental health services. This scheme means that if you're experiencing anxiety or depression alongside the therapy that you're receiving, you can also get that really practical support, help with your CV, help with negotiating the flexibilities you might need with your employer. All of that's really good stuff to work alongside any mental health services you might receive. By 2024, we're rolling this out across England so that you'll have that nuts and bolts jobs help alongside your treatment. And today, as Chris mentioned, we've officially launched our new Support with Employee Health and Disability Service. This is a £6 million scheme, which is designed to give more tools to employers who hire disabled people and those with health conditions. It gives bosses a breakdown of information on how best to support and manage employees to dismantle this idea that it might be too hard. And this builds on our other work. Some examples include our partnership with Microsoft to help disabled job seekers better use technology to gain and retain employment in an increasingly digital workforce, or our Disability and Access Ambassadors, which nominate senior business leaders to spearhead improvements in the accessibility of all parts of our society. This is just a small part of what we're doing. There are so many areas of life where disabled people face barriers, and I'm going to make it my job to work across government and with businesses and civil society and all the brilliant people in this room to build on the progress that we've made so far. And that brings me back to why we're here today. To do justice to the extraordinary achievements of everyone in this room, we must make that world of possibilities, the world that you're doing so much to inspire, a reality. Thank you again to the Shaw Trust for all that you do, and to the Shortlist for your talent and determination, and for the example that you set for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, for joining us today. We're now going to turn our attention to the category winners of this year's Power 100 list. And I'm pleased to say that when we get to the top 10 countdown a bit later in the programme, we'll be hearing from most of our category winners and asking those who are here today to join the stage. But first of all, we're going to announce winners for categories education, politics and law, art, fashion and design, and science, technology, engineering and mathematics. They will be introduced by members of our prestigious judging panel. Please welcome Dr. Hamid Haroon, Natasha Trotman, and Seema Flower and Shirley Houston, who will be joining us virtually. No, put it out there.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me? So many gorgeous people all in one room. It's amazing. So, my name is Dr. Hamid Haroon. As a description of me, I'm a brown man in my mid-40s. I know I don't look it. With a smooth, bald head and a bristly white beard and blackish moustache, wearing glasses, smart, casually dressed, sat in a powered wheelchair, which I like to call my Hot Wheels. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a research scientist at the University of Manchester, where I work on the analysis of MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, images to measure how the brain and body work and what happens with aging and in different conditions like dementia. I'm also very lucky to chair the National Association of Disabled Staff Networks, NADSN for short, connecting and representing disabled staff networks at universities and colleges and other such organisations across the UK and beyond, which we founded in Manchester back in 2014 when things were very different. A couple of years ago, we set up the NADSN STEM Action Group, and you'll hear in a minute what STEM stands for, which is working on a set of recommendations to address the barriers that we as disabled people face in STEM. I'm currently a member of the Royal Society's Diversity Committee too, which is a great honour to be. So, I am deeply privileged to be a judge for the Disability Power 100, alongside some of the most influential personalities in our community and superstars to me. This is my second year in this role, and this year for the education category, a category very close to my heart. The 21 nominations we received for this category were all exceptional and have only enhanced my pride to be a disabled person, especially working in the education sector. Pure power and pure role models for generations past, present, and future. I am thrilled to announce, is it time to announce? Yeah. I am thrilled to announce that the #1 position for the education category has been awarded to Dr. Elliot Spaeth. Huge congratulations, huge.
Natasha.
Hello everyone, it's really good to be here with you all. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a judge. So as you know, I'm Natasha Trotman.
I'm Seema Flower. I'm the Managing Director for Blind Ambition.
No.
I go by the pronouns she, her. I'm Indian. I'm in my early 50s. I've got dark bobbed hair. I'm wearing pearl earrings. I'm wearing a black top with pink and orange flowers. And I usually am very well renowned for wearing a bright red lipstick. I was invited to be a judge for the Shaw Trust 100 Power List this year, and the category that I judged was law and politics. There were 26 entries for this particular category, and the competition was really, really fierce. Previously, I had been on the Power 100 list in 2020, and that was an amazing experience. For me to have been a judge for this year's categories, it's been a great honour, and it's meant the world to me. It's been a great networking opportunity, but also it has been a real eye-opener to see all the good work that's going on in around the world. So, going back to the law and politics category, where 26 people were nominated, the number 1 position goes to Anna Landa. Congratulations. Well done.
Hello everyone, it's a real pleasure to be here with you all. It's been an absolute pleasure to be a judge, as you all know. Take 2, I'm Natasha Trotman, and I'm an equalities designer. Description of myself, I'm black, British, and I have dark brown hair, it's in a ponytail. I'm wearing a navy shirt, black trousers and footwear, kind of casual. I was a judge for art, fashion and design. And a little bit more about me, and the nominees were amazing. So a little bit about me. I'm an international equalities designer and researcher who uses my knowledge and expertise to mainstream equality, diversity and inclusion and post-normative equity through an intersectional design lens. I was previously named on the Shaw Trust Disability Power 100 list in 2019 and 2020. This is my 2nd year of judging. It's been great to see so many new people coming through as nominations and making the job of shortlisting quite difficult, but in a good way. The judging panel received 23 nominations for this category. And congratulations to all who were nominated. Fantastic. So the number 1 position for this category has been awarded to Victoria Jenkins. Congratulations, Victoria.
Hello everybody, my name is Shirley Houston. I am a disabled actor working on Coronation Street. I am a white woman. I currently look like I'm leaning against a fluffy wall. It's because I'm a bit poorly, so I'm horizontal at the moment. I have curly brown hair. I'm wearing a headband, which is disguising my grey, and I'm vaguely over 30 when we were talking about age. I'm here because I was one of the judges on STEM. Science, Technology, Engineering and Maths. STEM is a new category which was put into the nominations for 2022. There was still a high level of nominations that came through though, and as judges we were really pleased that we had 27 entries from a wide range of people in academia, people who work in infrastructure and people who work in all sectors of the industry. We had 6 people shortlisted, some familiar faces and some new. The category award winner is Amy Francis Smith. Congratulations, Amy.
Thank you, Hamid, Seema, Natasha, and Shirley. Next to be announced are category award winners for sport, digital media and publishing, business and finance. Welcome to the stage Judges, Mike Sharrock and Tom Jameson, and Natasha Watts, representative from Lloyds Banking Group, sponsors of the Business and Finance category.
Hello, my name is Mike Sharrock. I'm the CEO of the British Paralympic Association. I'm white British. I have short grey hair, unfortunately, in my early 60s, unfortunately, and my pronouns are he and him and his. I feel really privileged to have been asked to be a judge on the Power 100 panel Disability Power 100 for the last 2 years. This year I've been one of the judges on the sport category. It is a real honor, but it's also a responsibility. We had 39 amazing nominations in the sport category. However, the judges agreed that there was one nomination that stood out from all the rest. This year's winner burst onto the scene at the Beijing Paralympics in 2008 at the age of 13, winning 2 gold medals. She was one of the faces of London 2012 Paralympics, winning a further 2 gold medals, and then another one in Rio in 2016. She retired last year after the Tokyo Paralympics with an amazing 8 Paralympic medals, as well as multiple world and European medals, including 14 World Championship titles. She has been inspiring us for 14 years. She was the youngest person ever to be awarded an MBE in the country at the age of 14. She has 2 gold postboxes in her name. She fronted an acclaimed BBC documentary, A World Without Dwarfism, last year. I guess you're getting the idea as to who it might be. She now, of course, is absolutely smashing it on Strictly Come Dancing. She is a wonderful role model and an inspiration to us all. This year's winner of the sport category is Ellie Simmonds.
My name's Natalie Watts. I'm from Lloyds Banking Group. I'm pleased to say I'm not a judge. We have sponsored an award. I don't envy the judges, especially in this category where there were 72 nominations. So just to say, I'm a white British woman with long hair. I'm also vaguely in my 30s. I'm wearing a black jumpsuit, and I use the pronouns she and her. As I say, 72 nominations in this category, absolutely incredible. It's an absolute honour to sponsor this category. And I'm really, really pleased to announce that the winner is Sheena Danda.
Good afternoon. My name's Tom Jameson. I've been the editor of the UK's favourite disability lifestyle publication, Able Magazine, since 2013. I'm white, British, Ulster, Scots, with salt and pepper hair, more pepper than salt. I'm 47 years old and my pronouns are he, him. It's my privilege to be a judge for this year's digital media and publishing category of the Short Trust Power 100, having been on the list myself for several years. I know how proud I was to be on the list, so to have a role in producing it is a real honour. The quality of this particular category was very high indeed, and I was very happy to see that several of the shortlisted nominees were people that I'd worked with before, though I hasten to add that because there were several judges, there are integral checks and balances to cancel out any favouritism. I think this category is really important. So much is written and broadcast about disability and disabled people that doesn't come from the disability community. Here, though, are the people that are challenging media to do better and providing those authentic voices of experience and expertise that are still so few and far between. Media and publishing is about ideas, and it's about discussion and reasoned debate, though when Claire Gray asked me how I'd found the judging process, the word I used was fruity, if you remember, Claire. Since all of the judges are determined and unstoppable disabled people who wear their hearts very much on their sleeves, and guess what? They don't always agree. Anyway, I felt it was particularly important to get this category right for the sake of the identity of the Power 100, because it's one that will most easily transfer to the wider world. All of the nominees are likely to become unofficial spokespeople for the disability community. The Power 100 is a unique springboard opportunity, so I really hope that they put the accreditation to work. It gives me great pleasure to announce that the number 1 position, chosen from 43 entries for the digital media and publishing category, has been awarded to Kim Kazerkazi. Are we off? Oh, sorry, my apologies.
Thank you, Mike, Tom, and Natalie. We're now going to hear the category award winners for entertainment and community action, announced by judges Sophie Morgan and Kush Kanodia. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, Sophie is unable to be here today, but she has sent us a short video to share. We're also going to hear details about the Rising Star category, introduced and presented by Georgia Head, and Kush Kanodia to announce this year's Judges' Choices. Let's welcome Kush and Georgia to the stage.
Hi, I'm Sophie Morgan. I'm a TV presenter and disability advocate, and I'm a judge on this year's Shaw Trust Power 100. I'm very excited to announce the winner of the entertainment category. This year's winner is Rose Ayling Ellis. Congratulations, Rose.
Hi, my name's Kush Kanodia. I'm a social entrepreneur and a disability rights champion. I was truly honoured to be second in the Shaw Trust Disability Power 100 list in 2019. In the summer, I was awarded with an honorary doctorate for Doctor of Science for having an inspirational career as a disability and rights champion and social entrepreneur. Kent University acknowledged the campaign that abolished all disabled car parking charges from 206 NHS Trust hospitals in England, helping 2.5 million disabled people to access critical healthcare during the COVID-19 pandemic and the current cost of living crisis. Kent University stated that this is, by some margin, the single largest and most impactful change in the treatment of disabled people in the history of the NHS. This is the reason I love and am a judge for the next award, that recognizes disabled people leading change, taking action, true change makers for community action. And I believe this was actually the most hotly contested award category, because we had 101 entries just for this category. The number 1 position for this category has been awarded to Dr. Halima Begum. Congratulations.
Hello, everyone. being here today. It's a privilege to be here to announce the Rising Star category for the Disability Power 100 2022. My name is Georgia. I'm a white British woman with mid-length blonde hair, and I'm in my 20s. I know I don't look it. I've been told I look about 18. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm an advocate for children and young people, and I work proudly alongside the disabled children's charity WizKids, who I'm here with today. This year I was given the honour of judging the Rising Star category. Rising Star was a category started in 2021 to recognise people who are the ones to watch, the people that I wanted to inspire me when I was younger, the people that have a voice, a message and something to say. They are the leaders of change and will more than likely be ranked in the top 100 in future years, and I'm really excited to see where they end up and what they do next. 36 entries were received this year, and it was an extremely difficult task to shortlist them. It really was. I'm not just reading off a script there. It was very challenging. I'm delighted to announce that 5 people were selected. This includes Jonathan Bryan, founder of Teacher Us Too, Cornell Hariska Munn, National Accessibility Manager, Disability Network Global Chair and professional musician, Josh McDonough, graduate inclusive design consultant, Amber Shaw, student and member of the Salford Youth Council, Fraser Simmons, Fraser and Friends. You're all very worthy winners, and as I say, it was very difficult to choose. Everyone in this category are such worthy winners and incredibly inspirational people to look up to, and you should all be incredibly proud of yourselves and your accomplishments. You can read more on our Rising Stars in the Disability Power 100 publication. Congratulations, everyone.
Hi, it's me again, Kush Kanodia. So my campaign for the last 2 years is for reasonable adjustments for disabled Londoners from the ultra-low emission zone that has been introduced by the Mayor of London and Transport for London. Climate action must go hand in hand with climate justice and social justice. Otherwise, all we will be doing is increasing poverty and inequality for disabled people in a pandemic and cost of living crisis, when we are already the most disproportionately impacted community. It has been a true pleasure to be a judge for the last 3 years for Shaw Trust's Disability Power 100. And one of the benefits of being a judge is the next category. Judges' choices are people chosen by the judging panel to recognize them for their achievements. They are people of great influence, driven and committed to reducing the effects of disability-related inequalities. Often working in the background, the judges' choices have been instrumental in driving policy change, campaigning and initiatives for disability inclusion. The 3 people that were selected by the judging panel this year are Lucy Alaband, the former trustee of Disability Rights UK and volunteer for the United Nations. Pami Desana, Include Me Too founder, social innovator, and co-chair for the Commonwealth Children and Youth Disability Network. And Professor Eilis Young, Professor of Social Work. You can read more about the judges' choices in the Disability Power 100. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Sophie, Georgia, and Kush. So before we move on to the top 10 that I know you're all waiting for, I'd like you all to join me in welcoming some of our judges and some of our influencers to take to the stage, and they're going to talk about the power of diversity. This was a topic we chose for a roundtable that we held earlier in the year at Westminster, and it provoked such a rich discussion, we felt that it was worthwhile to continue it here. So please join me, Tom Jameson, editor Able Magazine, Jonathan Andrews, solicitor at Reed Smith, and influencers, Celia Hensman, founder of Disability Policy Centre, Dr. Halima Begum, Chief Executive of Runnymede Trust, and Shani Danda, multi-award winning social entrepreneur and disability specialist. Mouthful there, Shani. Okay. Welcome to the stage.
Hello everybody, can everyone hear me? Can you hear me okay? Is that better? There we go. Just to introduce myself as a visual description, I am a white woman. I have long browny blondie hair. Very lanky is the word I use to describe myself. Very tall, and I'm wearing a blue dress. So as Claire mentioned back a couple of months ago, we held a discussion in Parliament, and it was so thought-provoking we thought we'd continue it here today with our lovely panellists here. So I'm going to kick off with the first question and go to you, Shani, first. Disabled people, we're becoming increasingly more aware of and prouder of the identity that we have, looking at events like this, and we're all using the disability identity with pride. It's crucial to personal and community growth that we're doing this. What do we need to see collaboratively change to ensure that differences become seen as strengths?
Hi everyone, I'm Shani Danda. I'm a South Asian woman with a short stature. I have got medium length brown hair and I'm wearing a black sparkly dress. And my pronouns are she, her. It's a great question, and I remember being 20 years old and not wanting anything to do with my disability identity. And it wasn't until I learnt about the social model of disability did this weight lift off my shoulders that I didn't even know was there. So I think it's first and foremost every disabled person knowing what the social model is from a very, very young age, and their family and their friends and in society at large. I think that's when I got the confidence to be me, to accept my body image. And I think if people aren't given the skills to do that, or the space or the knowledge to do that, that might never happen for some people. And that doesn't make us the proud people that we are today, and allows us to do all the exciting things that we do. So there's lots I want to say. That's first.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'll let the panelists.
Tom, I wondered if you were to comment on this. I know we've spoken before about using our disability identity when we might have an invisible or a non-visible disability, and how it may be slightly different in those situations. I was wondering if you wanted to kind of come in on your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think first and foremost, disabled people need a chance to prove themselves, build towards an evidential tipping point whereby generally people take the disability bit for granted, ultimately. I suppose one of the difficulties with that in mind is that it's far easier to shout from the rooftops than it is to shout from the gutter. So, I mean, as far as what can be done, I would point to projects like Purple Tuesday, and I'll be forever grateful for the Valuable 500 project, for instance, by Caroline Casey. It's those sorts of things that are really grinding on year after year after year and pushing back those boundaries.
Thank you. I think a key theme that's probably coming out of this discussion that we've been having and we all have in our personal lives as well, is about education and awareness and normalizing disability so it's not so stigmatized around us. And leading on to that, across sectors, we have some amazing individuals here today, but unfortunately, disabled people are shockingly underrepresented across all sectors. For example, less than 2% of members of parliament are disabled. And when we think 1 in 5 people in this country are disabled, that's a massive disparity in where we need to be in representation. Jonathan, I was wondering if you would kind of come in on this of what role does representation play for disabled people? Why is it so important for all of us in this room today to feel like we are represented by people?
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan Andrews. I'm a solicitor and also an advocate for disability and autism acceptance. I'm 28, dark hair, dark clothing. I think it's important because being able to see yourself in the workplace, being able to see somebody like you kind of achieving, I guess, or forging a certain path. Just although, obviously you should encourage people to achieve and to be ambitious, whatever, seeing someone else do it really does provide that impetus, I think, and that confidence for a lot of people to think, actually, I can do that. And I think that having those visible role models, having that representation, and it's an issue in Parliament, as you say, it's an issue in the solicitors' profession as well. I think it's about 5%, the latest statistics, disabled people, or those who are open about it, compared to quite a bit higher for the working age population. And I think it's really about that understanding. Personally, I found when I started advocating, there wasn't an awful lot of people in law talking about it. But then when I started talking about it, I found it kind of opened up doors, and others started discussing it as well, and even people more senior to myself. And actually, now, coming along, 8 years since I think I started, there is more discussion. There's a lot more to do, but there is more discussion, there's more openness, and it does actually make you to think, well, actually, there is more chance of me being able to make it to achieve what I want to achieve. And that's why I think it's really important that, as you say, we think about those strengths that people have, not just see it as weaknesses, and that we encourage people to be open and proud of who they are.
Exactly, couldn't agree more. And I think when we talk about disabled people as a group, group of individuals, sat here in this room today, we have collected characteristics which other people don't have. We're incredibly resilient. We think outside the box. We have that creativity about life. We have that determination, and those are things that should be celebrated. And actually, those characteristics that we have as individuals make for ideal candidates in the employment sector, and that's where we need to be putting our talents and breaking down those barriers to allow us to do that. Halima, I wondered if you wanted to come in about the importance that representation plays for you, and also as an individual that is representing your sector, what effect you're going to have on other people.
Thank you, Celia. So I am South Asian woman. I'm wearing a shalwar kameez, which is a traditional dress of South Asians. I didn't buy it, I borrowed it because I don't own anything as nice as this. My pronouns are she, her, and it's Black History Month at the moment, so I wanted to make sure I feel that I'm representing in many ways. It is great to be here. I'm feeling quite emotional, Celia, because not just because I was a recipient of an award, but an award that very visibly shines a light on my disability, which I've never had to think about very publicly. I grew up with a very visual disability as a child in a South Asian community in the East End of London. I don't think my parents had the vocabulary or the language to describe it. They protected me considerably. I was probably bullied in school. My younger sister threatened to beat anybody up who actually bullied me, which wasn't great, but at least I was protected. So it feels quite emotional to me, and it must feel emotional to many other people here who would have had the same journey. So representation matters. I'll try and flip it a little bit. Some people have said to me in the past, well, some people are superstars and they shine despite all of their disadvantages. So do we need to think about positive affirmation and positive action? And I always say to people, oh, well, that person must have been a superhero or a heroine. But the rest of us are mere mortals, and the rest of us actually carry so many inequalities and disadvantages. So we need to think about representation for everybody else, not just that one person who's a shiny superstar that made it. It matters for me enormously because I want my nieces and nephews and my grandchildren as well to think that whatever their identities are in Britain 2022, they can make it.
Thank you for that. And I like the story about your sister. And it kind of ties in nicely to the next question. I think one of the big things is about reclaiming what the word disabled means. For so long, for generations and generations, it's been used in such a negative way to say that person's disabled. And the connotations that are instantly attached to that are negative perceptions of what we can and can't do. And we've fostered a society where one's ability is judged on one's health. And that doesn't seem an accurate reflection of all the people that are here in this room today and many more at home who've been nominated and doing their work, that it's not an accurate reflection of what we can and can't do. It's about reclaiming that identity. So Shani, kind of coming back to you here, what do you think community and allyship can do for improving disabled representation? That it's up to us in this room, but actually we can't carry the burden on our own. It's the responsibility of everybody to make sure we're breaking down those barriers.
Absolutely, just like it's everybody's responsibility to be inclusive. I do think disabled people and we as the disability community do have an important role to play in that, and that, you know, we aren't serving the most, that we're not just serving the most privileged disabled people, that we understand intersectionality and how different communities of disabled people might have different experiences. But then when we look at non-disabled people and allies, I always describe it as, you know, whether you're born with a condition or whether you acquire your condition or impairment, you're not given a guidebook. You're not given a book to say, here's everything you need to know about your condition and here's how to navigate a world that isn't designed for you. And it's constantly exhausting, as I'm sure we all pretty much know, to constantly, you know, ask for adjustments or feel like you have to constantly overcompensate. So I want to see better allyship, because I think some people think an ally is just like, oh, being a good friend, but it's not. It's actually being very intentional. It's about understanding a community's issue, understanding it doesn't affect you, but taking that struggle on as your own. It's about raising your voice when it feels uncomfortable. It's about bridging the gap between that minority voice to the majority. So there's, yeah, again, lots to say, but I think that's what we need to see a lot more of.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, all of us here are disabled. That's our identity, and that's the bracket that we're put in. But actually, amongst us, we all have such different experiences, and you know, the experiences that I've had and the experiences that you've had are so wildly different, but we're put together in the same category. So exploring intersectionality and actually being aware and having that education around disability and what it means and what an individual's needs is. It should be judged individually and not as a collective group, and that's why it's so important that, you know, allyship is there, that we're asking the questions that maybe sometimes be uncomfortable. And I think, Tom, kind of tying into that with your work in journalism, is language is so important around disability and intersectionalities. And the vocabulary that we're using to describe disability can have a real effect on how people, you know, perceive us. So what do you think, you know, vocabulary and language, what role does that play, and what advice would you kind of give us all here today about vocabulary and language?
It's enormously important, but it's vocabulary and language is integral in all aspects of all lives everywhere. I mean, I think first and foremost, we need to remember that one of the difficulties our community has is that even though disability is a major part of all of our identities, it's often a secondary part. I find myself describing myself as a British white disabled person, not a disabled person who's British and white. And just that little twist right there is crucial. It's very, very tricky. As far as education, which I wanted to just row back on slightly to what you were saying, I think one of the greatest things that could happen with this Power 100 movement, I'd love to see a hard copy of this list in every single school in the UK. So Claire, if you can print another 32,000 with the Department of Education to send out, that'd be terrific. But words are really important. Words can wound, words can heal, we all know that. I think we need to to take back a bit of control regarding what people say about us, and enable ourselves and have the confidence to own those words, to own the word disability, in the way perhaps that, let's say, the word gay has been reclaimed and the word black has been reclaimed. Let's keep control over this. Let's direct rather than follow. Easier said than done, mind, but they are.
Exactly, and I think that ties into what Shani was saying earlier as well. It's about setting our own narrative of what being disabled means and reclaiming back the power of the world and using it with pride and the identity that we have. You know, I'm proud to be a disabled woman, and I'm sure, you know, the reason we're all here today is most of us are shouting it at the top of the rooftops, but because we're doing that, you know, we're putting back that positive identification on the word disabled. Lima, I just want to come to you. One of the shocking statistics that we hear over and over again is if you look at the FTSE 100, there are no executives who work for those companies that declare themselves or identify themselves as disabled. And if we look at employment rates, disability is roughly 30% down from everybody else. Why do you think that is? Why do you still think we're in this position in 2022 when surely we should have progressed so much further?
To use Liz Truss's words, it's a scandal, and we're not talking about cheese. It is a scandal, because if you look at the disabled population in the UK, it's certainly not that figure, right? It's 20%. And the fact that we've got such low levels of representation is a scandal. Why it happens, I can draw a parallel with gender reporting and ethnic minority comparisons as well. The reasons why it's difficult to get to the very top is because we haven't got enough positive action within the companies to accelerate. I'm going to give you an example of the Conservative Party and diversity and representation on ethnicity. As you all know, there was a very contested Tory party leadership contest recently, and we actually had quite a lot of minority leaders represented. A lot of people then ask the question, well, how did that come about? Where did it come from? Given the fact that the Labour Party actually has, on average, greater levels of representation of MPs. Now, of course, when David Cameron was in power, he did promote what was known as the Alpha List, so getting top talent in BME communities and also top talent in women. I believe Liz Truss is a recipient of that pathway. Unless you break through accelerated pathways to top seats and top talent, it takes that much longer. So I do believe that in addition to the business as usual mechanisms in place, we do need to think about accelerated pathways, and that will change the game.
Thank you. Breaking down barriers, I think, is the phrase that we all see across our LinkedIn and our Twitters and our social medias all the time, is that expression is breaking down those barriers. Jonathan, I wondered if you wanted to come in on that and talk a little bit more about why is it so important that we're breaking down these barriers, that it's not our duty as disabled people to change, it's the environment around us to change that is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to the point around the social model as well, about understanding that disability isn't within the person, and it's not that the person has to change to fit in with the society and the way that things work. It's actually if you make those adjustments, if you support people, to be able to be able to move past that and work in the way that works best for them, actually everyone benefits. And that's what we've found. To give just the example of employment for autistic people, which is something I've worked on for quite a number of years with charities like Ambitious About Autism, where you've where people have been in those positions, it's quite easy to maybe see, somebody isn't necessarily performing an interview as well as they wanted to, or somebody interview them in that way. But actually, if you think about what strengths do they have, what strengths can they bring if it's focused on a certain area, determination, a real interest in something, and work around that, and actually see, measure them on what they're doing in the role. And if there are certain things that maybe, they're not, they might be more difficult, why don't you actually sort of carve out that role in, job carving, for example, to be able to focus on strengths, and then you can get more out of people that benefits them because they feel that they're contributing and they are contributing, and also benefits the workplace and society more widely. So I think it's not just a matter of looking at disability in terms of an issue with somebody, but actually thinking, no, they have those talents, how do we restructure the way of working, for example, in order to bring those talents out to benefit them and everyone else around them.
If I may, if I'm just bursting in, I think you've got to find those talents first and foremost and nurture those talents. And it makes me angry that outside of this room, we're the very lucky ones, no getting away from that, but outside of this room, there are parents of disabled children struggling to get EHCPs, that's education and healthcare plans, right now. You know, if you're identified as having a disability or an illness at age 6, it might take you 2 years. 2 years, you know, is half their education life already gone and wasted. You know, we need to be ramping up these kids because you won't get anybody at the top until you start working it up organically from the bottom.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think there's so much unconscious bias that's happening around us. It's perceptions, it's physical barriers, it's technological barriers, it's organizational barriers. And when we're trying to forge our path, just like everybody else is, we're constantly having to go over and under and through all of these barriers around us. And it's that how do we look at right from the beginning of an individual's life, breaking down those barriers, that it's not just about employment, it's not just about leisure, it's about how do we break down every single one of those barriers. If that child has been born with their disability or they come into it later in life, whatever it may be, that from that starting point we look at both leisure and we look at both productivity. Quite often what we tend to find ourselves doing is leaning into that productivity as how can we make this individual as beneficial to society economically as possible, and that's where the focus is, on breaking down those barriers. But it's about barriers in general, from school all the way through to an individual's leisure. So kind of summing up as we run out of time, going through, Tom, if you wanted to start us in one sentence, what do you want to see changed as we move forward? It's a very big question, but if you could sum it up very shortly and concisely, what would your answer be?
It's a very big question, but it's the easiest question I've been asked all day. And it's very simple. I want to see fairness of opportunity in terms of enabling disabled people to reach their incredible potential, as illustrated by this room.
Halima?
I would build on that. I would say that I'd want the same, but also understand that disabled people also come with different other protected characteristics which determine more inequalities, and to think about fairness more inclusively and help them achieve opportunities in life.
Yeah, I think, you know, really championing and focusing on those strengths and encouraging people, as you say, to find those strengths, to encourage them to be, you know, to champion, show people what they can do, and to encourage disabled people to be comfortable identifying as disabled. As you say, it's not a dirty word. It's who you are, if that's who you choose to define, and you know, shouldn't be ashamed of it. So encouraging people to be who they are and focus on their strengths.
I think I would like people to understand, including us as a disabled community, that literally every decision that we make can either raise or lower barriers to participation to society. Whether we're making a decision, designing a new product, inviting people to a party, whatever it may be, every single decision has an effect. And I think our default way of operating is exclusionary, because we make decisions based on our own knowledge and our own bias. So I really challenge everybody to question that and to be as inclusive as possible.
I completely agree, and I think Chair's leeway of answering the question as well, I think it's about moving from a state of being reactive to being proactive about what we're doing. Quite often what we find happening with accessibility barriers being removed is it's a result of an event of discrimination happening. It's a result of years and years of disabled people in a community being discriminated against, and it's reactive. We need to be proactive from the point of design, whatever that design may be, implementing education or designing a new building or voting for an individual, whatever it may be. From the point of design, we are being proactive about breaking down disability barriers. For those that would like a little bit more information about the session that we previously had, it is in the handbook, Alona has confirmed to me. So if you want to read more about the event that we held in Parliament, please do. And thank you to all of our wonderful panellists for joining us today.
Right. Where's the microphone? Should be working. It should be working. Microphone. Right. Is it working? Right. Okay. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for is now the top 10 countdown and the reveal of the #1 position. So I'm delighted to be joined by Lona de Havilland, Head of Marketing and Communications, Shaw Trust, who is going to announce the top 10 countdown. And we will have a short video from Caroline Casey, who will say a few words about what it has meant to the valuable 500 to be awarded the #1 position in 2021. So, Alona, over to you.
The microphone's moved. Lovely, thank you. Are we having a good time? Yes, fantastic. So this is the bit everyone's been waiting for. I need to make sure I don't keep moving away from the microphone. I found out I was giving the top 10 on Friday, so I apologise now if it's not as smooth as it could be. I can also see there's still quite a lot of food on the table. There's also some wine. I won't be offended if you lean forward, charge your glasses, get some more food or anything like that. So, without any further ado, starting at number 10. I'm really excited about this one. Our number 10 is Andrew Miller. Andrew is recognised as one of the most influential disability advocates in the UK. He has 30 years' experience in broadcasting, arts and film. In the 1980s, he was among the first generation of disabled presenters on BBC TV. Sorry, British TV. You weren't just BBC. He is also the first wheelchair user to run a major UK arts venue, running the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama in Cardiff. Andrew is also a National Council member of Arts Council England, a governor of the Royal Shakespeare Company, and a trustee of BAFTA. He co-founded the UK Disability Arts Alliance and is an MBE. Please join me in congratulating Andrew as we welcome him to the stage. Does this work? I don't know. I bet you've got more experience in this than me. Do you want me to? Fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic to be back in a room full of disabled people once again. Great to be here. I'm a white, middle-aged, not even vaguely, but I'm middle-aged wheelchair user. I'm Scottish, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm mainly wearing black and glasses in a black wheelchair. First, I'd like to thank the judges. It's a huge privilege and surprise, frankly, to be back in the Disability Power 100 Top 10. Also, I'd like to thank the Shaw Trust for hosting this important annual platform, the only one that places a spotlight on the contribution of disabled people in our society, and it's really important. In the past year, we have seen huge strides taken in the arts and cultural world for deaf, disabled, neurodiverse and learning disabled people. This summer, 2 disabled actors simultaneously led productions in our leading national theatres for the very first time. Arthur Hughes, Richard III at the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford-on-Avon, and Francesca Martinez in All of Us at the National Theatre here in London. Both 5-star productions, totally unprecedented. We've seen disabled talent finally recognised at the Oscars, at the BAFTAs and the Olivier Awards. Disabled narratives are now being regularly told on our TV screens. We have George on CBeebies, and we are also seeing disabled audiences being recognised by the UK Arts Council's new access scheme. And we're seeing the cultural workforce diversified in projects like Curating for Change in museums. Transformation is happening all around us, and I'm delighted to be associated and support personally many of those initiatives. Of course, there is still huge inequity and much more to do. But I think today offers a brief moment to celebrate our progress and to state for the record, disabled people have arrived in our national culture and are here to stay. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andrew. So, next is number 9. And number 9 is Dr. Elliot Spaeth. Elliot is a lecturer in academic practice in Glasgow University. This involves him helping other educators make decisions about their teaching. He specialises in inclusive learning and teaching in higher education, with a particular focus on disability and neurodiversity. Elliot, who is neurodivergent, is passionate about making higher education a genuinely inclusive place. He works in Glasgow and has co-founded the Neurodiversity Network for staff and students, as well as co-developing an online course about inclusion and diversity in education. He's also created his own academic course for new lecturers on teaching inclusivity. So friends, please welcome Dr. Elliot Spaeth to the stage. Oh, look at the kilt.
I know. Thank you so much. We're doing photos.
We're doing photos.
Hey,
well,
this
let's
is not socially awkward at all.
Okay, I was just not standing in front of the microphone.
That's a
so
smart
that
idea.
was
Do you want to
easier,
move
yeah. Fabulous.
Thank you so much. Hello, I am a sorry, that's probably a bit loud. Stand back a bit. Hi, I am a 35-year-old white trans man wearing a kilt. I have lived in Scotland since I was a child. It's not just some sort of random decision. I feel like I'm here to represent disabled people, neurodivergent people, and also awkward people. So you might have noticed me trying to get up and not being sure whether to do so several times. That's pretty much how I negotiate in society in general. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, especially to my partner Danny, who's over there, and she's got some supporters on the table already. It's quite exciting. But also just generally to people that have encouraged me to be me. I think a lot of us can understand what it's like in a world where people say that they're supportive of disabled people, but not actually in the way that we do anything. And it can be exhausting to constantly feel like you're pushing against people saying, yeah, you know, it's great to support disabled people, but could you just not be like that? So it just means a huge amount to be here with all of you today, and that it's been okay that I don't have anything particularly polished or important to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is where the technology lets me down, so bear with me. So, next is number 8. And in this year's Disability Power 100, number 8 is Amy Frances Smith. Amy is a multi-award-winning architect, inclusive designer and access consultant. Her work focuses on providing improved accessibility for disabled people within the built environment. She's a design council specialist in accessible environments. She has experience across design and construction, particularly in residential schemes and multi-million-pound healthcare. She fights for improvements around accessible housing and gives talks and lectures to educate students and professionals on social responsibility. She's also an ambassador for the Architects Benevolent Fund, and she's been shortlisted as a positive disability role model in the National Diversity Awards. I'm delighted Amy is here today. Fabulous. So please welcome Amy to the stage. As they say, not socially awkward. Would you like to say some words?
Yeah. Go smash the screen before I get started. Hello, everyone. I'm a 30-ish, the lower end of the 30s, so it's all right. White British female, ginger, obviously, and I've got an orange top, a black skirt, and I am a she/her. I just wanted to say it's such an honour and a privilege to be on the top 10 and be recognised for a third year in a row, and finally get to meet in real life with some human faces for once rather than on a Zoom screen. It's definitely been a difficult few years for everyone. When I was first placed, I was just a graduate, just finished my Masters of Architecture after a long 5 years. It should have taken me a lot shorter than that did. Partly because I ended up with some extreme chronic health conditions and illnesses that, just to list a few, muscle activation syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos, Crohn's, hearing loss, PTSD, probably a few others that I collected along the way and I've forgotten about. It was a time when I started to get angry, actually, about the world and how crap it can be. Apologies for my language. It was something that I started to use social media for, to put out into the world that things aren't correct, things aren't right, and things can change. Through the support of the Shaw Trust and the Power 100, they've given me such a boost and a backing for confidence to help push forward messages and agendas and inspire many, many people here today. So I'm an architect, eventually got there after 12 years. Took a while. And I couldn't step back with my position and my privilege and my voice in an industry that directly affects all of us in our day-to-day lives. So I am an advocate for accessible design, inclusive design, and trying to change and make the world a better place. And through, I've interviewed hundreds of disabled people over the years about, more specifically around housing and the built environment. And it broke my heart to hear that people couldn't manage to do the daily basic tasks, such as wash in the bathroom, they had to use a kitchen sink, or put their kids to bed for years because they can't get upstairs, or even just be able to, open a window. These are very simple, basic tasks that we should all not take for granted. So, I'm trying to change the world, one house of one building at a time. And with the 14.1 million disabled people in the UK who are struggling to navigate the built environment, it's a much-needed task, and it's an internal endeavour. As you can see, there's many, many buildings to figure out. But inaccessible features have been designed in, so they can be designed back out again. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Shaw Trust for naming alongside such remarkable disabled people. The impressive selection in this room is astounding, and it's been an honour to be alongside these people. So my speech will end now, but just on a sort of fighting note, I want everyone to keep pushing forward, keep energised, keep shouting into the ether, because social media doesn't end there, it snowballs and real change can happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So on to our number 7. And it's Kim Tzerkazy. Kim has worked as an actor, presenter, writer for over 25 years in comedy, in drama and in documentaries. She got her first break as a presenter for the BBC's Disability Today and went on to play Penny Pocket in 4 series and 2 arena tours of Balamory. In 2020, she won a Royal Television Society Award for Best Drama in her leading role in Obsession. Kim set up a production company, Scattered Pictures, in 2011 to develop underrepresented talent. She is the Deputy Chair of the BFI's Disability Screen Advisory Group. Unfortunately, Kim can't be with us today, but we do have a short video.
Thank you so much, Shaw Trust, and all who nominated me. I am so delighted to be included in this year's Power 100 among such incredible company. This list is such a celebration of disabled talent and skills and smashes the stereotypes of who we are as a disabled community. Thank you so much for making me part of it, and congratulations to everyone who made the list.
Fantastic, and we will ensure we send everyone's warm wishes to Kim. So, in our next position is Ellie Simmons. Now, Mike, I felt, gave us such an excellent overview of Ellie, her amazing achievements, the fact she's the youngest person to ever receive an MBE, that she is now starring on Strictly. I think we have a short video from Ellie, don't we? So unfortunately she couldn't make it. She was hot-footing it in her, her sequins and her sparkles, but she has sent us this short video.
Hello everyone, it's Ellie Simmons here. I hope you're all having a wonderful evening and enjoying either Prosecco, food, or just mingling and networking. If I was there, I'd definitely be enjoying the Prosecco. That's my type of drink. Just want to say I'm also really sorry that I cannot be there tonight. I'm actually getting ready to do Strictly Come Dancing, so dancing away. So if there's any advice or if you guys have any tips on how to dance, please send them my way, because I need it. But just want to say thank you ever so much to all of you who've nominated me to be part of the top 100 and top 10 Disability Power, which is, wow, blown away. There's so many incredible disability advocates out there who are changing the way for individuals living with different disabilities. So to be part of that top 10 is just incredible, like literally blown away. But anyway, I'll leave you to it. Have a fabulous night and enjoy the celebrations.
Fantastic, and I'm sure we're all wishing her well on Strictly. So we're down to the top 5, so it's getting exciting. And at number 5, I did check the pronunciation and got told I could just refer to this person as Halima B, as our fantastic new, we agreed, because I was struggling, so Dr. Halima Begum. Halima is the Chief Executive of the Runnymede Trust, the leading UK civil rights and race equality think tank. She's a disabled Muslim woman who has worked tirelessly to achieve equality across minority communities. In her teens, She co-founded the Women Unite Against Racism to challenge the rise of the National Front. She has gone on to support disabled communities as far as Rwanda and Nepal. Halima was very prominent in recent proceedings filed by the Runnymede Trust and the Good Law Project against the government over non-competitive senior public appointments. And in February, the High Court ruled in favour of Halima and her team. So let's welcome to the stage Dr. Halima Begum.
Am I still on?
You are.
On mic down. Thank you. Thank you so much. Huh?
Let me move some of that stuff.
Yeah.
We are rather cluttering, aren't we?
Thank you. I've been on this stage a few times today, but so I was already happy. So thank you very much to Claire, your team, for seeking out unusual voices and people for this year's award show. And thank you to everybody else who has contributed to the success of the Shaw Trust's work in amplifying the work and the contributions of disabled people. I've already spoken a little bit about allyship, I think, when I said I had a younger sister when I was 5 years old. Shami, that's what allyship means. Like when you're quite young, someone steps up. And then my family stepped up, and then gradually my friends stepped up, then my colleagues. And of course, the ripple effect of stepping up as an ally is pretty phenomenal. And this is what I'm feeling at the moment in this room. So I hope we keep it up. Of course, I'm not standing here as an individual. I am the CEO of the Runnymede Trust. It is one of the oldest race relations organizations in the country. And we have led some advocacy work on behalf of the country and the public around upholding, as you said, around the public sector equality duty, which protects disabled people and ethnic minorities in terms of accessing fair opportunities. So that's what I believe this recognition is for the success of an organization and a network that is racial justice based, but actually we are representing Black disabled people as well. And so this is really a recognition of the intersectionality of our work. So thank you very much for giving us this space and visibility. And I wish everyone here continued success and joy. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. Number 4 in the top 10 is Anna Landra. Anna is a wheelchair user who is an activist and a scholar. She focuses on disability policy implementation gap, where laws often fail to translate into practical improvements for disabled people. Her work spans humanitarian relief, international development, urban planning, and social care and benefits policy. Anna is a Truman and a Marshall Scholar and is currently pursuing a master's degree in international development and humanitarian emergencies. Anna also works with the Ukraine Crisis Focal Point at the Partnership for Disaster Strategies, taking time off studies to help coordinate the evacuation of people with disabilities from this war-torn country. During her time studying in Washington, she conducted research on the implementation gaps of disability laws in Latin America. So please join me in welcoming Anna Landra to the stage.
Thank you first to the Shaw Trust for naming me to the Power 100, and also a shout out to my friend Sarah, who nominated me and who was also named. We're in very good company. I do want to give you all an update on our work in Ukraine, that thus far we have successfully evacuated and provided aid to well over 4,000 Ukrainians with disabilities and their loved ones. Thank you. I also want to note that this was quite obviously not just my efforts. Like all good things, it took a village. And that village, that team that I work on, is majority Ukrainian, so people who are war affected themselves, majority disabled, and almost entirely women. And I think that is a reflection of so much that goes on in our world, where often those who are willing to help are already those most affected. And we know that it could be us, and oftentimes help doesn't come from elsewhere. And our strengths really lie with one another. I moved to this country just only a year ago. I'm American, and it has started to feel like home here for a lot of reasons. First, that like everywhere, we have a lot of work to do, and that we're in really good company doing that. I'm so honored to be among a group of such fantastic people who are going to dedicate their life to making our community stronger and to building up this culture of disabled people. And I'm really honored to get to do that with all of you. Thank you.
Tension's rising.
To do that, you'll need to be online.
Oh, apparently that's more me. We may have to, oh no, it's all right. Thought I was going to have to revert to the paper, and it's quite small, so I'd have to sort of hold it very close. So, we are now at number 3. Ooh, I love the sound effects that come with this. So, number 3 is Victoria Jenkins. Victoria is the chief executive and founder of Unhidden. She studied fashion design and worked as a garment technologist for many years. Then, after becoming disabled in her 20s, she came up with the idea of adapting fashionable clothes for people with a range of disabilities. And last year, she wrote The Little Book of Ableism, a guide to help non-disabled people learn simple and easy ways to communicate with the community. She speaks regularly about ableism and inclusive design, as well as disability representation and depiction in the media. I am absolutely thrilled that Victoria has been able to join us. We weren't 100% sure until about 2 minutes before it happened, I think, which is hence why I'm not going to present Victoria with a certificate, because she's already had hers. So, Victoria.
Oh gosh, do I hold this?
You can hold that or use that.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit shaky now, even though I did know. I think, firstly, actually, I will thank Shaw Trust, and then I'll describe myself. I'm a white woman with mid-length brown hair and a centre parting. I'm wearing a black and white skirt, a black top, and some ludicrous shoes that I regret instantly walking up that ramp. Gosh. Fashion, I know, can seem very, very frivolous, and given the people in this top 10 and everybody else that got shortlisted, I know that it really does feel very odd to talk about fashion in this way, but all of us here had to get dressed to come here today. But unfortunately, so many of us do not have that choice as to the same self-expression as everybody else in the non-disabled community. It's something that I felt very strongly about, to the point of putting myself out there and doing everything that I've done with Unhidden, making Unhidden the first adaptive brand to join the British Fashion Council, becoming the first brand to have licensing rights to Paw Patrol, and the only brand in the world that has those rights for kids' adaptive wear. So far, I've done quite a lot of this work solo, but I do obviously have the incredible support of the other adaptive designers, of course, some of whom are in the room, I think. And yeah, thank you just to Shaw Trust, to the judges, and thank you so much. I didn't have a very polished speech, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Fantastic. So, down to the last 2. So at number 2 in this year's Shaw Trust Disability Power 100 is Shani Danda. Shani, well, you've met Shani, so I probably don't need to do this because you already know how amazing she is. So Shani is a multi-award-winning disability inclusion specialist, thought leader, social entrepreneur, and broadcaster. She founded Diversability, the Asian Woman Festival and Asian Disability Network, to challenge social inequality. Just in the last 12 months, Shani has worked with more than 70 clients and motivated global audiences, including the United Nations. She's been named as one of the 16 most influential women in leadership by CEO magazine. She's a guest panellist on ITV's Loose Women, a consumer expert on the BBC's Rip Off Britain, and has appeared regularly on ITV's This Morning. Last year, she won 6 awards for her activism and commitment to disability inclusion. So I am more than delighted to welcome Shani. Sorry, I just realised I have the microphone poking out.
Thank you, everyone. It's a great honour to be in the top 10 again this year. I'm going to keep it short. I've already had my time on the stage, but my work is from the perspective of being anti-oppressive, actively anti-ableist, and readdressing the power and privilege imbalance that we have in society. Talking of privilege, I understand that I am a very palatable disabled person, and I don't take it lightly when I'm on the shows that I'm on, when I'm taking up space for us as a community. It really is for us as a community. And I just want to thank you all for your support. And finally, I just want to say thank you to Andrew Roach, the incredible agent and manager that he is. He represents so much talent in the room today, but he is a true ally to all the disabled people that he represents. And thank you, Shaw Trust. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. Right, we're at number 1. It's very exciting. So, you'd think I'd remember who it was, wouldn't you? So, I know why I don't know. We're about to hear from Sophie Morgan. Initially, some of you will know that we were due to host this about a month ago, and Sophie was going to come and do the top 10, which is why you've got me as a very pale imitation. But she has very kindly made a film. So I'm going to pass over to the... Yes? Good. Caroline Casey. Okay, as I say, very pale imitation here. We're going to pass over to Caroline Casey from the Valuable 500, who was our winner last year. She's done some amazing work, and she's made us this short video.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline Casey, the troublemaker and founder behind the Valuable 500. I am a white woman with very white skin, very white blonde hair, a blue blurry background, black jumper and big black thick-rimmed glasses. I am also the president of the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness. I sit on several diversity and inclusion boards, including L'Oreal, Sanofi and Sky. I am in the relentless pursuit to end disability exclusion through business, and that's the reason we set up the Valuable 500. I truly believe, as many do, that the choices that leaders make in business are a reflection of the culture that exists in a business. I truly believe the problem of disability exclusion cannot be accomplished without the power of business and the CEOs being accountable. And the Valuable 500 is the biggest global collective of companies, over 1,000 people, with their CEOs accountable to drive systemic change, not just the symptoms, but the source of the problem. So for us, winning the Power 100 as the Valuable 500 last year, and what it meant to us, because it wasn't me, it meant to all of our team. Anybody working in this space knows at times it feels like we are never going to accomplish what we want. A world where we equally belong, are seen and heard, and can reach our potential. So winning that award for the team was just so important for us. It encouraged us. And it's also so important, I think, for everybody who's a winner, just to be recognized for the work they do, even though we might not get there. So just a huge congratulations to everybody on the list this year. But the time for this year's winner, hard to pick from the hundreds of applications, but this person both won the public and the judging vote. And to tell you a little bit more, because I'm not there myself, which I was, is Sophie Morgan. So I just want to say a huge congratulations again, and have a fantastic event.
More than 10 million of us watched the moment on Strictly Come Dancing when Rose Ayling-Ellis invited us into her world. This is the moment when the music was turned off and she and her partner, Giovanni Panici, danced on in silence. For everyone watching, that moment was deeply profound and moving, to say the least. It was also a pivotal moment for the deaf community. The impact that Rose had in winning Strictly was immense, and I am so proud to pay tribute to her as the #1 influencer in this year's SureTrust Disability Power 100. She showed that deafness is no barrier to dancing, and in that mesmerizing moment, she said more than 1,000 words could have done. Now, although Rose can't be with us in person, she has sent this lovely message. I am so grateful to have been awarded the #1 spot on this year's SureTrust Disability Power 100. It is an honour to be recognised in this way, and I'm so sorry not to be with you all in person. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Rose.
Thank you all, and I'd like you all to join me, if you can, also to congratulate all of our top 10, our fantastic 100, our rising stars, and our judges' choices. So thank you all, and congratulations.
Well, how can I follow that? All I can say is it's time to have fun, it's time to network, it's time to drink, and it's time to eat. So, please make your way to the Marble Room, where you were before, and there will be plenty of food, drink, and desserts for you to enjoy. See you later. Where were my notes?